Today we're going to be ranking every single college major based on how much money you're going to make. So if you guys are still on the fence about picking your major, then definitely watch this video so you're not in generational debt by the time you graduate. For over a century now, college is seen as the cookie cutter way to success. You know, you go to college freshman year, you get an internship over the summer, you keep studying, you put in all this money, take out all these student loans, and eventually you will be rewarded with a corporate job that literally sucks the soul out of you but pays the bills. And I'm going to be ranking every single college major to make sure you guys don't go into generational debt just to get a job that only pays $50,000 a year. So let's get right into these rankings and see what we have for number one. Today we're going to be starting off with gender studies as the first major. I don't know if you've heard of this major before. Basically study the differences between genders. Gender studies major is an interdisciplinary field that critically examines how gender intersects with other aspects of life such as race, class, sexuality to shape societal culture and political experiences. Key topics such as gender inequality, gender studies major, salary. There is no way this is true. The salary for gender studies major varies, but the sources report an average annual salary of around $58,000 to $99,300. If you major in gender studies, you might be making six figures in a couple of years, who knows? However, early career earnings are often lower, around $29,000 to $32,000. Now listen, if you're a trust fund baby and you're really interested in studying the different genders and studying the relationships between society and gender, then I mean, go for it. If you're passionate about it, then definitely go for this major. But if you actually need to make money and you don't have rich parents, and this is a D tier, generational debt, your kids and their kids' kids are still going to be paying off your insane student loans because you're making $10,000 a year. Like, what are you doing? Start a business, start a side hustle, like genuinely. All right, let's move on to my major, which is business currently. Business is the most popular major in college. When it comes to business, there are many different areas of emphasis, including accounting, finance, marketing, sheep, entrepreneurship. But I mean, we can generally categorize it all. They play similar aspects and you do learn kind of similar things, especially if you're getting an undergraduate degree. Accounting is absolutely cooked. You guys are getting replaced by AI. If you're majoring in accounting, then I would put you in C tier or D tier because you are never going anywhere with accounting. AI can literally do all my taxes for me already. So what makes you think you're so useful when AI can do my job 10 times faster than you? Anyway, finance majors, I think it's similar to accounting. Like, there are way better quantitative AI analysis stock traders out there. All right, finance is a similar thing to accounting. There's so many business majors. If you're not going to a top school like Harvard or Stanford, then you do not stand out. Business is so competitive because there are so many people who think they're going to major in business and start their own business or work at Goldman Sachs. Like, I go to CU Boulder and I can't tell you how many kids I've met that are literally just drunk frat bros who party every night, but they're majoring in finance and they think they're getting an internship at Goldman Sachs when they graduate. And that could not be further from the truth, bro. Goldman Sachs doesn't even hire from CU Boulder or any of these schools. They only hire from like Stanford, Harvard. So if you're not in one of those Ivy League schools doing business, then you are absolutely cooked. You are a marketing sheep, a finance sheep, an accounting sheep. You have so much competition and there's so little jobs available, especially in this business corporate sector. I mean, these white collar layoffs have been going like crazy and I don't see an end to it anytime soon. So if you're in business, then you're pretty cooked. I mean, there is entrepreneurship. And you could start your own business from a business major, which is probably the best route to go right now. As you know, I'm a businessman myself. I'm an entrepreneur myself. And there's just so many ways you can make so much income and passive income and live so freely nowadays. But the craziest part is school doesn't teach you how to start your own business at all. It just teaches you how to work for someone else's. And that's why if you're going into business, you're going to be in generational debt. Actually, hold up. I don't know if I can put it in D tier because gender studies is so bad. I'm going to put it in B tier, struggle to find a job. Let's move on to the third major, which is the healthcare major. Now, this is also a pretty broad major and it's kind of similar to business because there's so many different areas of emphasis you can choose. You know, you have nursing, doctor, practitioners, everything like that. But the salaries usually range from around $50,000 to $120,000 a year. You know, you have associate's degree, which is $40,000 and $50,000, which is pretty cooked. But honestly, I've been talking to some healthcare professionals and some entrepreneurs in the space, and the degree levels are starting to not matter as much, especially if you're going into nursing. Like, if you even have an associate's degree, they'll be very happy and they'll be happy to take you on board because there's major shortages, especially in the healthcare industry right now. However, if you're going to be a doctor, then you are going to college for like 12 years and it's going to be grueling. It's going to be terrible. You're going to be going into generational debt. The thing about healthcare is it's pretty lucrative. You can definitely make a livable salary, but if you want to make a livable salary, you're going to have to go to college for 10 to 12 years, rack up almost $1 million in debt. So for that reason, healthcare is going to go into the C tier, never getting out of college. I would strongly advise trying something else unless you're very passionate about the healthcare industry or you've already been in college for a while and you're about to graduate and get a nice paying job. All right, let's move on to the next major, which is law. This is also pretty similar to healthcare as you're gonna need to spend a lot of years in college to get a high paying job. The best thing I can think for this major is you get a cool video of you in college and a cop's trying to harass you and you know your rights and you specify them really well. So you go viral on YouTube just being a kid knowing your rights. That's how much it takes these days. Or you could make a YouTube channel like this guy and then make lawyer content. But this honestly isn't even being a lawyer. This is just using your expertise and monetizing it on YouTube. So for that reason, I'm gonna have to put law into the C tier because you can get a livable salary. But I honestly don't think you're going to get out of college by then. Now, surprisingly, law is actually getting automated pretty fast by AI. So by the time you get out of college, you might not even have any jobs available. But right now, law isn't fully replaced by AI. However, if you're a lawyer right now, you might be fine because Kim Kardashian blames ChatGPT for making her fail her law exams. So obviously AI is not a law expert yet, but I can see that happening in the near future. And so for that reason, law is going in C tier, never getting out of college. However, if you're a lawyer right now, you're definitely making a livable salary, but not for much longer. All right, let's move on to biology, everyone's favorite subject in middle school, but everyone's least favorite subject in high school. You know, I've talked to a lot of professionals in the biology space, and they say it's a very fulfilling career. And you can do a lot of cool things like study animals, study world patterns, and there's a lot of emphasis within biology too. There's a lot of things to customize and pick for your interests. However, there's not a lot of money being given to biology right now because most biology careers rely on government funds, government grants, block grants, and frankly, with our current administration, all of these grants are getting cut. There's no more money going to wildlife conservation or like studying animals. So you're definitely going to struggle to find a job. You might actually be in generational debt. If this was a few years ago, I'd probably put it in like A tier, paycheck to paycheck. But right now, that's not the case. No one really cares about biology unless you're in like a different country. But we're talking about US college majors right now because obviously college is great if you live in Europe where college is basically free. But here, college can cost you $1 million. So biology is not the move. Like studying whales might be cool, but it's not going to make you any money. Trust me. Let's move on to the next area of emphasis, which is going to be architecture. Oh my God, bro. This is not ancient Greek. We're not designing some cool pyramid shit. No one cares about architecture anymore. Every building looks the same. Every building looks like Chipotle. Everything's manufactured the same. We live in a corporate world with copy and paste, 3D printed houses. No one really takes time to have good architects anymore. And that's why it's also going into generational debt. Because companies don't care about having a cool looking building. They care if that building makes money and if that building looks soulless and corporate. They don't want their employees to have any happiness at work. They want to have the coldest, most corporate, most literally dead architecture for their buildings. I guess the only thing I could think of is like if you're an architect and you got hired to rebuild the White House, I guess then you'll have a livable salary, but that is very rare. Let's move on to the next major, which is graphic design. Oh my God. If you're a graphic design major, I feel so sorry for you. And if you're a graphic design major and you're about to graduate, oh my God, I feel 4 times sorry for you because graphic design is literally cooked. Let me show you an example. 10 years ago, you could get hired as the thumbnail designer for a YouTuber or maybe make some cool graphics for a corporate company and make some cool advertisements. But nowadays, I can literally just put a picture of myself into ChatGPT and say, make a cool YouTube thumbnail. That's all I have to say to get something like this out of it. Graphic designers are absolutely cooked. And I think AI has pretty much fully replaced all graphic design majors. So this is another D tier generational debt. With all of these majors that we don't even have a single major in S tier yet. We don't have a single paycheck to paycheck major. Every single major we have here is going into generational debt or not finding a job. Yeah, if you've noticed a trend here, you see that none of these majors are actually going to make you money and you're not going to be successful going to college. That's why I dropped out, started 5 businesses of my own, gained over 1 billion views on YouTube, and started many of my own companies. And I'm making way more than all of these majors combined in a year. And I want to share that with you. So if you guys want to learn a little bit more about entrepreneurship and AI and how I started my journey in content creation as well, click that link below. We're starting a community and I'm giving everything away for free, all of my knowledge, everything. Just drop a like, subscribe, and join the community, and you guys will be able to see that. Let's move on to the next major, which is computer science. Now, I feel like computer science is a bit overhated. They're all like, oh, your job's getting taken. Sure, if you're an entry-level coder, you're absolutely cooked. Claude Code can do anything 100 times faster than you. And Opus 4.5 actually just dropped, so you're even more cooked than you thought you were. However, there are a few emphases in computer science that are going to actually make you money. That includes cybersecurity. Cybersecurity analysts make around $124,000 to $127,000 per year. And I'm pretty sure that's kind of entry level. And well, actually says here, entry level is at least 70,000. So, I mean, 100,000 is basically minimum wage nowadays, and that's like the actual livable wage you need to live. So 70,000 is just below that. So I'm gonna put computer science in paycheck to paycheck. Also, if you do like data analyst kind of roles, AI engineering, and actually use AI to code instead of coding it all manually yourself, then you might be able to get a job one day and live paycheck to paycheck. Or you might be able to do computer science and learn a little bit. I know personally, my school literally teaches assembly and zeros and ones to the kids in computer science. I mean, I went to the computer science building. I showed his senior some of the code I was making with AI, and he was like, wow, dude, this code is so good. I wish I could code this manually myself one day. Like, what a fucking idiot, bro. What an actual idiot. Half these kids don't even know how to vibe code, yet they know how to do everything, every manual task, every impressive manual task with code there is, and they don't even know how to vibe code, dude. They're gonna be broke as fuck. I'm definitely gonna put comp sci in paycheck to paycheck if you know what you're doing. You know, I was kind of wanting to put in beats here because there's a lot of idiot computer science kids out there, but I believe the industry is going to shift and knowledge and expertise in AI is going to be very valuable. And this is the closest major that is adjacent to AI. So we'll put it in A tier for now. That is our highest ranking major. Let me know if you want a part 2. There's obviously some majors I didn't cover. And then hit the links below if you want to get more interested and involved in myself and the community I'm building. Thank you guys for watching. This was ranking every college major. Click all the links in the description to find out more. And I'll see you guys later. Peace.